And we are live. Hello, everyone. This is My Two Cents, and welcome to the February Patrons Hangout. This is a stream I host at least once per month where I just have a stream with anyone who supports me on Patreon, Subscribestar, or Bitbacker. We can chat about whatever. Right now, I'm joined by Night Shift 10,000, my only elite level patron. And we'll see if anybody else shows up. However, this is really just an opportunity for y'all to talk to me. So whatever Night Shift, if there's anything Night Shift wants to discuss, we'll start there. For those of you watching who aren't patrons, you can post stuff in the chat. Can't guarantee we'll get to all of it, but I will be keeping an eye on it. So actually, I gotta be sure I've tweeted out the stream, but then we'll go ahead and get started. And we're out there. Tweet. So
cool.
Looks like we got 4 watching right now. Mag, if you're still in the chat, I guess Mag, you are welcome to join. But if you're unable to for some reason, I see you already commented in the chat. Otherwise, Night Shift, you got anything on your mind? Other than the fact that you're busy. I gotta say, just quick, and shout out to Night Shift. He's working out in the gym as we're doing this stream. So kudos to him for still being here anyways.
Yeah, I'm Night Shift 10,000. I create content online. It's awesome, so go check it out if you're interested. Give me a subscribe if you like it. And yes, if it sounds like I'm winded at all, it's because I'm at the gym, feeling the burn, and not in a Bernie Sanders way.
Yes, feeling the burn to build your body up, not the burn that'll destroy the country.
Exactly.
All right, I see Scorch88 is also in the chat. Scorch, are you planning on joining or just watching tonight?
Scorch, Mag, join us.
He says I'm eating dinner. All right, well, got you there, man. If you want to join as soon as you're done, or if you're able to, please go ahead. Rainbow Asteroids, hello. All right, since I'm just going to get us started off on something a little more lighthearted. We had a serious discussion after yesterday on Today with 2 Cents. So let's discuss something that's not super serious, but hey, it's a good point of discussion. Earlier today, I saw a Twitter user handle Anna Adams at the Unreal Anna Adams tweeted out, "We need a Disney princess who wants to abolish the federal government." Now, this caught my eye because several times in the last few months, the social justice warriors have made comments about how we need a transgender princess, or that's the one that specifically comes to mind. But I think it was then Kristen Bell or something said something about we need a princess that, actually I don't remember.
That's like yeah, that's something. I don't completely remember what it was, but yeah.
It was something social justice related. We need a Disney princess who does this, and it was something totally ridiculous. And then that prompted another tweet from some other celebrity about how princesses should not be waiting on princes to come save them. There's just all this, we need Disney princesses that do all this politically correct nonsense that no one actually believes. But then we said we need a Disney princess who wants to abolish the federal government. So if we're going to politicize Disney princesses, I say, heck, why not? But I tweeted back, I would contend that at least some of them already would. In particular, Jasmine of Aladdin. She was not a fan of the Sultan's rule that she had to marry a prince. She wanted to marry somebody she wanted to freely marry someone she loved. And in that respect, she was not a fan of the federal government of Saudi Arabia or wherever it is that Aladdin takes place. Scorch88 also commented that Mulan.
Scorch.
Yes.
Hey.
Hey, Hello. Mag and Scorch, thanks for joining.
I did decide I should come.
Okay, well, awesome. Thanks for being here.
Because I'm still eating.
Okay, no problem. If you have to mute yourself and be sparse on comments, that's fine. But finishing my thought, so if we are going to politicize Disney princesses, why not that? So Jasmine and Mulan were 2 others that came to mind. I guess I will put it to everyone here. If there is a particular Disney princess that you would want to be the face of anarcho-capitalism, who would it be?
Speaking of which, is it too loud on my end?
No.
Okay.
You're fine.
Okay.
I don't really like princesses, so I can't really state. I don't like Disney, so.
Oh, really?
If I was gonna make like an ANCAP like Because I want to at one point draw, like, you know how there's, like, the American woman? I want to draw something like that, except for ANCAP. And I kind of talked with you, Scorch, I think, on it. But yeah, I haven't gotten around to it.
Well, what about Elsa? From Frozen.
No.
Well, she kind of did denounce her throne, and then kind of go live in the mountains like an ice palace in isolation.
She also destroyed her kingdom.
Well, true.
Yeah, although she later fixed it.
She's kind of a fusion between ANCAP and Bernie Sanders, if such a thing could be imagined.
Canadian Supernova says Disney princesses don't exist. Yes, I do understand that point, but it doesn't stop people from using them to forward political agendas.
Some of them can. Some of them were either based on real people or they were based on other stories that could have been based on real people. Because again,
like
Disney,
Mulan.
a lot of their stories, they did not make up.
I've got one that's going to trigger a lot of people here.
Okay, go ahead, Night Shift.
Trigger a lot of people here. A good ANCAP Disney princess, Princess Leia. From Star Wars.
Grant, yeah, that is correct, because Star Wars is now a Disney enterprise. Some would argue for the worse. I would be among those people. But
yeah,
she is a Disney princess. I guess you know, Princess Leia was in fact a princess of Alderaan. Now we learn from the new episodes 8 and 9 she's now a general. But I guess that would beg the question: is would that make Rey a Disney princess, even though she's not a princess per se?
I don't know.
Huh. Well, isn't the real question of, like, was it ever answered who her parents were? I can't remember.
Nobody.
Yeah, it's. I think Kylo in episode 10. Actually, yeah, it was 10, right? Or 9. 9. Excuse me. In episode 9, this latest one, The Last Jedi, Kylo tells her they were just like random junkers, and I guess it didn't really.
Actually movie 8.
But yeah. My question is for, like, with Leia is, would she really be an ANCAP? She really emphasizes for, like, military, and he does stuff for, like, her, like, I don't want to say the word nationalism, but, like, she really tries to protect her plan. Blah, blah, blah,
she tried to do all this for a republic, really. So
yeah.
Yes, for
really,
there was the
ANCAP. She's badass. She's one of the more badass princesses.
All right. As I also see, Canadian Supernova said, "Amen, Mag. Disney sucks." I have to agree. Disney has definitely gone downhill. Although,
and I'm just gonna state, I do not classify Disney with Pixar. Pixar, I can kind of stand. I don't like Disney, and I do not view them as the same thing. Even though Disney bought them, I don't freaking care.
It is my contention that if you go back to the Disney classics that began in the 1950s and went on through the early 90s, there were some pretty awesome Disney films. But after that, Disney started
that's because
going downhill.
It was made during when Walt was alive.
Yes.
Well, after Walt died, his company died with them, but it won't actually die.
Oh, yes. But is Walt Disney dead, or are the rumors of his cryogenic freezing actually true? Who knows?
Oh, God.
Probably true. He's waiting to see if the Jews still exist.
Yes.
Oh, God. Yeah.
They didn't even probably have that technology back then, so.
Yeah, I know.
It's doubtful. That's funny.
Doubtful, but yes. Of course. Now, to the question of whether or not Disney is really as anti-Semitic as Seth MacFarlane seems him to be, I actually looked into this once. I'm kind of superficially, not to say I did any hardcore research. From what I understand, in the late 30s, Hitler sent one of his propaganda, like someone who was in charge of Nazi propaganda, to the U.S. to meet with Disney. Disney gave him a tour of the Disney facilities. And from my understanding, the fact that he actually met with one of Hitler's marketing, I don't know what you would call that, a person who works in government propaganda like that, but some kind of marketing director is where the claim that Disney was a anti-Semite comes from. Although I'm not sure there's actually any hardcore evidence that he did so out of his own anti-Semitism.
Well,
I hear the joke.
okay, go ahead, Mac. Sorry.
Oh, I hear tell me if this is like true or not. I don't really care if it is or not, but I always hear the joke on Family Guy that Walt Disney hated Jews because he always has Mickey killing a Jew or something.
Well, yeah, exactly. But what I guess what's come out is there actually was a controversy within the Disney family, I believe, that people like Seth MacFarlane and Meryl Streep and other celebrities who call Disney out for being an anti-Semite, they're saying that there's not actually proof he was. It's just a claim that has become commonly held because comedians and other celebrities have claimed that Disney was an anti-Semite, and they're saying that the Disney family name is being slandered by people like Seth MacFarlane. That's why I looked into it.
Memes. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yes. Here's an interesting comment. Martin Wicker: Belle is the quintessential ANCAP princess, well-read and always bucking the norms. I like that.
Yeah, I like that too.
Though she's into bestiality.
Plus, there's one thing I want to mention about Hitler, though. I
Stockholm.
want to mention about Disney.
Yes.
If he hated the Jews, he also hated the Nazis just as much. Because have you ever seen that Disney movie about the Nazis, about Nazi propaganda?
That was contracted by the U.S. government.
It was something about the Hitler Youth.
Okay.
And he really painted the Nazis in a bad light with that.
Okay, well, yeah, there were actually all those cartoons in the era of World War II that encouraged kids to donate, to encourage families to buy war bonds and kids to gather metal and bring it from the scrapyard and bring it to the government and all that. Yeah. So
but is that because they wanted to make those propaganda films, or was the government just telling them to?
The government told him to and gave him a bunch of money, but he didn't make any money off of that too. He actually spent up all that money for the animation.
Yeah, if Disney Films didn't mean it, they made they put on a good act then, because that little short film, I'm not talking about the Daffy or the Donald Duck one.
I know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about the one that talked about the Hitler Youth. And if Walt Disney still supported...
Go ahead. Also one for communism when Daffy Duck was working in a factory or whatnot, and he was being forced.
No, that was Donald. And he was working in
my bad.
The Nazis.
Well, whatever.
Yeah, that was a Nazi one.
I remember that one. I have to say, I like the older ones just because their animation quality, honestly, in my opinion, was a little bit better. They put more heart into it, and B, it was a lot darker because isn't that when they call it? It was the golden age of animation. Yeah. And also, I'm just gonna go on a little rant for a second. Walt Disney was not the first. There was someone else before him. His name is slipping me, but he made animations popular. He just Walt Disney just kind of went onto the train. They were both competing for a while within the 1920s and 30s and whatnot. But fortunately, Walt Disney won, as you can clearly tell. Sorry, I've been getting into that lately.
Oh, wow.
Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, Lights, I see your 3 questions that you've posted. As to your first question, how does abortion work in an anarcho-capitalist society? It is my contention that abortion is a violation of the NAP and therefore would not be allowed. I don't terribly, unless my patrons want to, I don't terribly feel inclined to turn the stream about that. So I would refer you to my series, Abortion and Libertarianism.
We've talked way too much about that, so let's move on.
Yeah.
It's been every stream lately.
Yeah, we talked about that every stream. So again, my videos are there for. I've laid out my case for that. If you disagree, you're welcome to comment on those videos. How are vaccinations handled in an ANCAP society if no one can mandate vaccinations? Well, again, in an ANCAP society, you would not have to be vaccinated if you didn't want to. But by the same token, private businesses, private schools, would not be, it would be within their rights. Say, for example, you don't want to vaccinate your children. Well, private schools could mandate we only allow children who have been vaccinated to attend our school. So you are correct. No one can mandate that you vaccinate, but at the same time, people could freely choose not to associate you if they knew you weren't vaccinated and didn't want their kids getting exposed to things.
The U.S. is not a mandatory country.
Yeah, it should be voluntary completely.
Mm-hmm. I believe the U.S. is that already. You can't participate in public schools.
Get 4 shots in one day. That's no.
Yeah, that is painful. We were even talking about that on Nate's stream earlier.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get to make it because I was working.
Okay, and then to your last question, does an ANCAP society have to allow immigration open borders? To answer your question, there's immigration and open borders implies there's a national government. So no, an ANCAP society would not have would have open borders. However, I've talked about. I did make a video called "Open Borders, Market Borders, and Border Security," where basically I pointed out the notion of open borders. It isn't, as it's understood right now in the United States, wouldn't really exist in an ANCAP society either, because when the Democratic Party supports open borders, what they support is essentially rapidly changing the demographics of the country by promising people a ton of free stuff if they enter the country. And in ANCAP society, you do not have border restrictions, but you also don't have necessarily any kind of welfare incentive for people to immigrate. So private citizens are free to put walls around their property if they want to, and basically private landowners get to choose who they will and will not associate with. So even though there would not be a border or any kind of formal border security, that wouldn't mean anyone is free to step on anyone else's property, or or there would be the kinds of state-sponsored incentives that cause mass migration in the first place.
Another way, I guess, another way to say it is, yeah, they can go into like the country and that, but say within small communities and whatnot, our communities or counties are within your own personal houses. No, they don't have to let you become a resident in those places if that community chooses, no, I'm not going to have so and so live in this community unless you're blah 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 blah. They can choose not to, or they can choose to have them in.
I would think that would be a difference between ANCAP and ANCOM communities, because an ANCOM community could do that, but in an ANCAP society, the only thing that you can control is your property boundaries.
Exactly. Yeah. So for example, as to the community comment, Meg, if it were the case, if there was a particular person let's say there's a town within an ANCAP society, and they most of the vast majority of the people there do not want this particular person in their society. So the private property owners say all end up telling him, or even let's say 90% of private property owners say he's not welcome on their private property. He could still be on the private property of someone who did want him there. But if 90% of the people don't want him on their private property, the likelihood that he's going to be able to buy or rent a place to live, or have a reasonable amount of places where he can do business, is pretty low. So odds are he would choose
that
to move
is
to another
not fully
community.
true, though, because even though there'll be a large amount of people that don't want them, when people see that there's a large amount of, say, for example, there's a large amount of people that don't want black people in this sort of community. There'll be another community that will allow a lot of those black people to go in there. Or another example is a lot of people like, no, I don't want to sell to you. There'll be another business that says, yes, I will sell to you, because as they will see a market that's available.
Well, and that's true. So assuming the competition, the competition from that could create another market for anyone who isn't allowed to shop at another business. My point is only in an ANCAP society, there really isn't immigration, because it's what it comes down to is you're welcome on property that you own. You're welcome on property where you are welcome there by somebody else. But
as long as you don't violate someone else's stuff, we don't care.
Exactly. Yes.
Let's see. Technically, Disney now owns Fox, right? That means they own the Futurama.
Maybe, I don't know.
Here, I'm not positive about that. Let me check quick.
If
I
so,
guess the better question is, what does Disney not own at this point?
Yeah, Disney is definitely an example of a mega corporation.
Yeah, between General Electric and like one other company, I'm pretty sure Disney, General Electric, and one other company own like everything else.
They own University, or what was that one called? University Studios, I think it's called. Does Disney own that?
I don't know.
Hang on.
Wasn't there like Lion Gate?
Okay, so Disney does not own Warner Brothers. That's the only other company that is in major competition with Disney right now.
I used to want to actually make films one day, and I still kind of do, but like one of the reasons why is because a lot of films nowadays really trashy, so I wanted to make ones that are actually truly and genuine. But the problem is the fact that it's really hard to, because it's really hard to start off from nothing. Yeah, there's a lot of small films out there, and you can build yourself up, but it's a really tight business, and it's really hard to get into. And I'd rather just stick to my games.
Okay, this is hardly authoritative, but the first thing that comes up as far as Google search, Disney owns Fox, ABC, Disney Theatrical Productions, 20th Century Fox, Fox 21 Television Studios, ESPN, Hyperion, Fox Searchlight Pictures, Fox Networks Group, Lucasfilms, Marvel, Pixar, FX, Sky, Star, Touchstone Pictures, and Hulu.
So,
okay, who's rattling?
Guessing that means they own Futurama. In that case, I said the ANCAP princess should be the old man waterfalls from Futurama. They got a super libertarian. I'm not sure you guys remember him.
I haven't watched as much Futurama as I have Family Guy or other cartoons, but yes, I know what you're talking about.
I have, and yes.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the chat?
I'm looking through. Patrick Rooney says Disney has the 4th largest navy on Earth.
My question is, are they a strong company because of success they've had over the years? Or is it now they've just at a point where they don't care? Or just because they have no more competition, they don't have to care anymore? Because they bought out everything, or because of government intermission?
Hang on, just quick. Somebody's mic is...
I think it's night shift.
Oh, sorry. Hold on.
Okay. Yeah, looks like that was Night Shift's mic. So he's just gonna go ahead and mute his mic when he's not talking now, and hopefully that'll deal with that.
I'm exercising in front of a fan. Sorry.
I got you. No problem.
I'm on my phone, so that's partly why my voice quality sounds like shit. I don't feel like opening up my computer and turning on my mic.
Mag, knock it off. You're adorable as always.
Oh, thank you.
Canadian Supernova says, thoughts on experimental rap band Death Grips. I'm going to have to confess ignorance on that one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm drawing up a blank on that one, too.
I honestly thought you were talking about experiments on rats for a minute.
Okay. Devin Rojas says, what if you were invaded by a foreign power? This is something we have talked about on a past stream as well, and I probably will get around to making a video about it eventually. Right now, I've got a ton of both patron requests, collabs, and other plans I got to catch up on. But
sorry.
I was going to say, short answer is, within an ANCAP society, you would still have private security and private military forces. Now, they wouldn't be as large as, say, a national military. However, in the event of an actual invasion by a foreign power, there wouldn't be anything that would prevent individual private defense contractors from working together as necessary in order to repel a foreign invasion.
But the thing to keep in mind is, on both sides will be accountable for all the deaths or injuries that each side takes a part of. So, the war or battle will not last as long as you think it does, unlike nowadays.
And plus,
go ahead, Night Shift.
And also, private citizens are also going to be very heavily armed. And we were talking about this in the stream, where Soviet Russia basically said they had no plans to invade Texas because they would lose like a huge amount of troops. That's kind of the way an ANCAP society would look to an invading army.
Are you okay? You sound really tired.
Right now I'm on a treadmill. I'm so tired. I'm literally trying to burn 500 calories off. So I'm just a little tired.
The Japanese said the same thing when we took over. We asked them, why didn't you ever land on our main shores? And they said straight up, like, we don't know how many guns you have. Every blade of grass, every door we open, there's going to be a gun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. As the point about the Japanese making that particular quote, I know some people have called into question the historicity of that quote, and I don't definitively have the answer, but in principle, yes, I believe that was the case with the Japanese as well.
Yeah, the
And I
furthest
see.
they get is like an island off one of our Alaskan islands, and then they said screw that and left.
I see Esoteric is in the chat, so hello, Eso. He also points out, plus the decentralized nature in this form of social defense is that there's no way to attempt to combat this, since there is no game plan.
If we have nothing to talk about, I have something I want to talk about, but I don't want to bring it up until we have all our discussions come out.
Okay, well, I mean, I think that pretty much closes that one off, Mag. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask, what's anyone doing for Valentine's Day, since that's coming up?
What am I doing for Valentine's Day?
Or something for Valentine's Day.
Okay, well, I guess if anyone has anything super interesting that they'd like to share, by all means, go ahead.
All I'm doing is taking a nice tour around the city I live nearby.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, there's a bus that can also drive on a river/lake. So that's going to be fun.
Aw, pretty.
I just went through a horrible breakup, so I'm probably not going to be doing much.
Okay. Well, best of luck to you, Night Shift. There's always you never know what could happen come Desperation Day. Which
there's always Tinder.
Yeah. Yes. Incidentally, who here watches How I Met Your Mother?
Oh my God.
I have.
Okay, there's one of my favorite episodes of How I Met Your Mother is called Desperation Day. It's where Barney is talking about how February 13th is, quote, Desperation Day, when he says when women who are not in relationships are more desperate than ever to find a date for Valentine's Day. And so he dubs it Desperation Day because it's the easiest day to find a date.
For me personally, if you're not if you don't have a significant other that you're doing stuff with, you can still like go to the movies with your friend. It's a little more saddening if you're not being with someone who you love, but like if you go like hang out with your friends or go do something or just send your mother a Valentine's gift, that's something sweet you can do. Another thing is days are only significant as much as significance you give to them. Like a lot of my family, a lot of my grandparents and whatnot who are a lot more older, they don't celebrate things like Valentine's Day. They don't always go out for like Christmas and whatnot because it's just like any other day for them. The day is only significant as much as you give it significance. If you think it's a really sad day because you're not with your significant other, you're making it like that. If it's just any ordinary day, it will just be any ordinary day. And for me personally, I just had a big trip to America, so I'm all happy.
Show off.
Yeah, I know. And I would be proud of that.
All right.
I say that, Mag. I say that, but any man would be lucky to have you.
Thank you.
All right. So to answer, what am I doing for Valentine's Day? In my personal life, I'm going to keep that to myself. As for the channel, last year on Valentine's Day, I released my first music video in which I covered the song Dream Lover from the 1950s. I may not be the greatest singer in the world, but that was my my Valentine's gift to the channel. We'll see if I decide to do another one of those again.
Well, I know the girls would be loving to hear that.
Okay. But then also, hang on, Martin Wicker in the chat says, as a traditionalist, I will be feeding Christians to the lions for Valentine's Day. Which, on that note, that is something worth discussing.
Damn.
Yes, a lot of people forget that Valentine's Day, actually, the full name of it is Saint Valentine's Day. And if I'm not mistaken, the story goes that Saint Valentine was a Roman official who was helping at the height of Christian persecution in something like 200 AD under Emperor. I don't remember who it was at the time. A bunch of Christians were being thrown to the lions. And the story goes there was a girl who was blind, which in that culture was considered if you were blind you must have been cursed by the gods. Valentine took her in, made her a part of his underground church, gave her a family. She and a number of others were captured and were going to face the lions, although Valentine was spared because he was an actual Roman official. But Valentine volunteered, essentially said, how entertaining would it be to the people if a nobleman actually had to fight the lions? And they said, well, it would be totally popular. Tons of people would pay to see that. So Valentine said, if you let all those captured Christians go, I will fight the lions in their place. And the whoever the governor was in whatever city it was he lived said absolutely. So all those Christians got off, but Valentine faced the lions, making the ultimate sacrifice and laying down his life for his friends. And
did they actually give him a sword and shield?
I don't know. One can only hope. He would have had a better fighting chance. Lasted longer.
Speaking of something like that, just slight rant I want to go on for just 2 minutes. For like the whole thing of like sacrificing the greatest sacrifice or dying so you can save another person, I believe it's a lot more harder to live with someone's death than to die for someone. I'd rather someone live for me than die for me, because that is a lot more painful, because you have to live with the fact that they died for you. You have to now live with the fact that they are gone. Even though they saved your life and you are eternally happy, you also have a debt that you will never be able to repay. So I would rather someone live for me than die for me, because that is a lot more hard.
Okay. Mag, sorry, that's just a slight rant.
Here,
and I'm an atheist.
Okay, and I'll just say, Mag, the other point of the story, which again I saw a television special about this when I was a kid. I'm unsure of the history of how long after this allegedly occurred that any of this was ever written down. But supposedly, then I believe the blind girl whom Valentine had rescued, when he faced the lions, by a miracle, she was able to see.
Yeah, I heard about that too.
So that is the legend of Saint Valentine, as I understand it.
What were you gonna say, Night Shift?
Well, okay, so no, and I was just saying that I was the same way as you, Mag. I would rather die for others than have others die for me. I've always been that way, and even now as an atheist, that's kind of how I am. Plus, that kind of harkens.
God.
Wait, what?
That kind of ideals doesn't have to do with God, but go on.
Well, no, okay. And I was just thinking, like, whether they gave Saint Valentine a sword or not. That kind of reminds me of Spartacus, the rebel of Rome, and basically how he pulled off a miraculous victory and became a great gladiator and then a great rebel. And P.S. Spartacus is possibly one of the most anarcho-capitalist individuals I can think of historically. Just on that topic.
Okay. I see Esoteric says, as a transhumanist, I will be in a simulation where I feed trad cucks to lions.
Yeah, no offense. I don't want to live forever, so you do that. If you're going to live forever, you also have to live with yourself forever. And if you have to live over all the other people if you live over all your best friends, all your loved ones and whatnot, I can't do that. I'd rather live and die with the people I love than just live forever, because that just sounds lonely and sad.
I've already lived past one of my best friends and another good friend of mine.
Although, Mag, question. What if your friends and family could live along with you forever?
I guess that would be a different story, but I don't think we're at that technology right now. But, yeah.
We're getting up to that, possibly.
My thing is, I don't know what's the best word to say is, but I'm a traditionalist into the sense of I want to get married one day. I want to have kids. I want to grow old with the people I love. I'm not going to like the fact that when I get older, I'm going to have to start using a cane, or I'm going to get fatter, or I'm going to not be as intelligent because my brain's going to go away. But the thought of living old with the person you love is very satisfying to me, and I want to do that one day. Obviously not now. I am still young, damn it.
Yeah, that's a good outlook.
Yep. But I know others fear death, but death is the one thing I've never feared, just because of the fact of it's the one thing in this universe we know what will happen to us. We all know we're going to die one day. No, we don't know when, we don't know how, and we can predict based on if you're a smoker or not, you may die sooner or some other stuff like that. But we all don't know exactly when we're going to die, but we all know we will. And it's the one thing I've never been scared of, because it's the one thing I know. Now, am I going to just take my life for granted? No. Am I going to be super scared to kind of do nothing with my life? No. I'm going to still live, but I'll be cautious at the same time. So, yay.
That's a good outlook too. That's a good outlook too. No, that's great.
I think too much.
Hey, no, that's a good thing. It's better you think too much than not at all.
Yeah,
that's a problem. That's a problem with a lot of girls these days.
No,
yeah,
I will.
Too much though.
I will second that, Night Shift. Canadian Supernova says the future can suck it. Guess that's one way of looking at it as well. And Winks the biker thinks Mag is sweet. So.
Aw, thank you. And the other thing I just thought of, you also have to live with the pain of anything you're going through forever unless you can deal with it. If you can't live with yourself forever, you shouldn't live forever. And for people who go through a lot of pain, I don't see that being pleasurable for them. Anyway.
Oh, God. Finally done.
Yay!
Congratulations.
500 calories down.
I also feel bad because I'm having chocolate right now.
Oh, I already ate. I actually already ate. I just had to work that off.
Yes.
Oh, I don't work out at all. I should, but I don't. I'm too lazy.
I worked out earlier.
You don't work out at all, Mag?
You guys will actually be thin when you're older.
You don't work out at all, Mag?
No. Well, okay. The thing I do is at least every other day I walk up a hill. It takes me about 45 minutes, and it's kind of about 5 hills I have to go up to go to my college. Then 4 out of the 7 days of the week I have to walk down that hill, and the hill is kind of steep. And I wear, the day I go up, a 20-pound bag on my backpack. So if you count that as exercise, yes.
I've seen pictures
hard. It's just really long and really painful.
Well, I've seen pictures of you, Mag. Whatever you're doing, it's working. I wish I wish I had your metabolism.
Yeah. I'm not going to talk about that.
Wow.
Anyway.
Any other questions?
The chat has now been turned to what everybody does for fitness. I see Anarchy Ancap says he does mixed martial arts.
I should at least do squats to keep up my thin belly, but I don't. I'm too lazy.
My job keeps me exercised. I dig, I lift heavy objects and all that.
Oh, good for you.
I actually got a weight set up at a garage sale a couple years back, so I converted my garage into a gym. I work out fairly regularly.
Nice.
And it saves me the money of a monthly gym membership.
Oh, wow. I'm about to pass out.
All right, maybe go ahead and take a seat, Night Shift, sip some water.
Oh, yeah.
Drink some water.
Everyone in the chat, put water emoji.
Nice.
Oh, I see Esso said, two comments here. When Martin Wicker says, when my body becomes feeble, stick my brain in a computer. The most important part of the human experience is the experience, so the more the better. I guess that makes me think of what was that movie with Johnny Depp, Transcendence? Where Johnny Depp's mind gets transferred into a computer and then he essentially becomes God.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait. Yeah, no, I remember something about that. I don't. Oh, God.
Yeah, I saw it then. Esso says, I can live with myself forever. Frankly, I'm one of the most bearable people I know. Good for you, Esso.
I just can't stand the fact of living over with your family, because I've seen science fiction to where people who are immortal and they live over or for hundreds and thousands of years, but they also have to live with seeing everyone else around them die. You could never get really close to anyone because they're going to die and you won't. And
yeah,
I can't live with that.
That was actually
the question comes: what if everyone else lives? And we would all just never need a reason to have a baby. And I want my kid. So no.
This is definitely not the greatest show I've ever seen, but I did watch it on Netflix. Does anyone watch DC's Legends of Tomorrow?
Oh, yeah. I remember that one. That was back on the CW.
Yes. So DC's Legends of Tomorrow, for those who aren't familiar, it's a spin-off of the DC Comics television series. They've got the Green Arrow, Flash, and then this was a spin-off. It's like a bunch of lesser-known DC Comics characters team up on this, and they're time traveling. Essentially, they're saving the world from various villains throughout history. The first of which was this guy named Vandal Savage, and the premise,
dictator.
Yeah, the premise of which is he's immortal. All throughout history, he's been at the side of the world's most powerful men, learning, constantly becoming smarter, and then in the future, he eventually rises up and becomes dictator of the world. which the Legends of Tomorrow are trying to fix. But there is in late first season, they have him in custody, and there's a conversation between Vandal Savage and one of the main characters, where Vandal Savage talks about his he's lived since like the Middle Kingdom of ancient Egypt, and now it's the year 2200 or something. And he says, "Do you have any idea how many of my own children I've held as they were dying?" And basically pointing out that being immortal is not necessarily as pleasurable as some might think it to be.
Actually, that makes me wonder if that's a reference to the Immortal Count. Has anyone ever heard of that?
The Immortal Count.
The Immortal Count. The Count of Saint Germain. He's apparently this individual that he's supposed to be immortal. He's supposed to be immortal, and apparently he's been seen all throughout history in different places. And there's a theory that he's like the real Count Dracula. There's other theories that like he's lived through like Rome, through like Egypt, and he's even been spotted in this century too. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're trying to make a reference to him or something like that with Vandal Savage.
I just thought of something.
What?
If you could live forever, and if you there's like a saying: if you took the cheapest watch, put it into the ground, and then rebury it back up in 500 years, you can sell it for a lot of money. If you can live forever, and the smallest thing will become very valuable in years, I would become a huge hoarder and then just sell it all later.
Well, here's the thing. I actually saw something. It was a scenario that said, you've been sent back in time 500 years, but you will live forever. And you've been sent back with one gold coin. What would you do? And it was like, it just gave you that scenario of like, what would you do if you could live forever and you were sent back in time with like a single gold coin?
I've always had this scenario in my head that it's a weird story I used to have to where I would go back in time. I mean, I wouldn't like work and make money there, and then I'd go into the future and sell my coins in the future, and those coins would be worth a lot of money.
Oh my God!
In the future, I'm like a rich, matching person, but in the
Whoa!
past, I'm a poor peasant.
Whoa! I must be psychic. I must literally be psychic. I was just thinking about that today. It was like, no, that was like a scenario like it was supposed to be like I was thinking about the movie Time Cop. I was thinking about the movie Time Cop, where people were going back in time to make money, or they were going back in time to buy a property and stuff. And what I would do in that movie's world, if time travel ever became real, is I'd go back in time. I'd start collecting full coin sets from places like Egypt, Babylonia, Samaria, Mesopotamia, Phoenicia, just basically connecting full coin sets. And then bringing them forward and then selling them for like millions of dollars. I was just thinking about that today. Holy crap.
But the only problem with that is the fact that, people kind of become suspicious. Where are all these gold coins coming from? How are you?
Who cares? I've already got my millions.
Well,
the free market provides.
Just to point out, that was the plot to an episode of South Park a few seasons back too, where it was essentially they were making fun of the discussion about illegal immigration that was happening at the time. But the idea was that people from the future are coming back in time to South Park in order to get jobs, and then they invest their money and they say their families in the future are better off. And it's of course, and then everyone in South Park is losing their jobs to the future workers who are willing to work for less. Which is where the angry mob is like, they took our jobs.
They took our jobs. I love that episode. I love it.
Yes.
The time portal only goes one way, like in Terminator.
The other thing that you could do is, I remember, I think like Back in the Future made this joke to where they went into the future, took like the sports album of who won for the past 50 years, took it in the past 50 years ago and just won a bunch of money. I think that was the second movie.
That was the second one. That was the plot too. Yeah.
I would so do that too. I would just write a notebook and then I'll just take that book with me. Or
actually, the interesting thing, Mag, is the villain Biff Tannen, the guy in, or at least Biff Tannen in number 2. The director said he based him off of Donald Trump. It's like, what? Wow, accurate.
Yeah, funny you don't think about that, but yes, Donald Trump was a thing back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh shoot.
And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it like in '84 when he did his first interview and was asked about whether or not he would ever run for president one day?
Oh yeah.
I think, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Didn't he say he'd run as a Democrat back then?
Yeah.
Either that or he said, I am a Democrat, but I would run as a Republican. I think is what he said, which is why a lot of people...
I wouldn't be surprised because looking based on all his friends he used to have before, or he started becoming president and kind of switch shift all of nowhere. Just saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But like personally honest, I've gotten to the point that I've heard so much about Trump that I just don't give a shit. I don't care about Hillary. I don't care about Trump. I don't care about the presidencies. I don't care anymore. It's kind of like back when you would always hear so much about Frozen, even if it was a somewhat good movie, because you heard so much, you can't stand it anymore. You just want it to go away.
Are they behind bars yet?
Huh?
Are Trump and Hillary and all those guys behind bars yet? If
No,
not, I don't care.
They should be,
I don't
but
care.
yes. Although I will say this, people often ask me. People often say to me, "You're an ANCAP. Do you like Donald Trump?" Well, to answer the question, no, I don't. He's a politician like any other. He has plenty of horrible policy positions. In particular, his positions on trade restrictions and other economic issues where he's clearly illiterate despite being a businessman. However, I will say this. There's part of me that can't help but like, there is a sense in which I can't help but like Trump in virtue of the fact that unlike other politicians who frivolously try to explain away their moral failings, Donald Trump basically just doesn't care what anybody says about him, says whatever he wants all the time. And even though it gets him into trouble, I will say I respect the fact that, for example, unlike someone like Bill Clinton, a serial adulterer who tries to to this day tries to defend himself and explain away all the women he's abused, Trump unashamedly just admits, yeah, I cheat on all my wives and I don't care. So at least I'll give it to him. He has a level of honesty to him that I'll say, okay, hey, you're still a politician. No, I don't like you, but in that sense, I can't help but admire the fact that he doesn't talk like other politicians.
Yeah, and I have to say this. Why do people I've heard this before? Why do people think Trump's a libertarian? I've heard that. Why?
I don't know. Oh, wow. It's probably the tax cuts that he made, but yeah, again, I'll say this for the millionth time. If you cut taxes without cutting spending, you're throwing gasoline on a tire fire, essentially.
Yeah, the Trump tax. Well, what you're doing is it's without cutting taxes without cutting spending is essentially still raising taxes, because even though you're not actually going to take money out of people's bank accounts, you'll have to sell more treasury securities in order to cover the debt, which means that the currency will inflate and people will lose purchasing power. So it is still a wealth transfer from the people to the government, and fundamentally has no different than if the government had raised taxes.
Right.
I remember, I think there was some libertarian I used to be subscribed to, but back when there was a protest where they wanted to lower taxes, and they did this huge protest, and there was a bunch of people there, and he had said, if all of you just didn't pay your taxes, this problem wouldn't be an issue, and you would get what you want. But because you were protesting, you didn't get what you want.
Deeds speak louder than words.
Yes, Esoteric asks, what do you think about Trump claiming that North Korea is going to become an economic powerhouse? I actually was not aware he said that. I guess did he say that recently? I do know he said in his State of the Union address, he stated that were he not the president, the United States would be at war with North Korea right now. I laughed pretty hard when I heard that one.
Oh yeah.
I'd be interested to know what Donald Trump's reasoning is for thinking that a country that has a totalitarian dictator where the average person there's no electricity, running water, they can't even feed their own people. I'm curious how he thinks they are going to become an economic powerhouse, but
right. Yeah.
Maybe he has a hard on for the military power.
Well, and literally 20% of the nation's budget goes in their military. I mean, what? You gotta be kidding me.
How much goes into ours?
It's 12%. Well, no, it's
small. It's pretty small.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
Honestly, for when you think about North Korea, the biggest thing to think about is Kim Jong-un. Like most totalitarian dictatorships, Kim Jong-un is living in a lavish palace, having all his heart's desires fulfilled. Whereas, his people are starving. He can't even feed his own military, much less turn the country into an economic powerhouse. So. I guess Esso says that yesterday he claimed North Korea was going to become an economic powerhouse under Kim Jong-un's leadership. So long as Kim Jong-un remains the dictator of North Korea, there is zero chance that I can see of them becoming an economic powerhouse. Were it not for the protection of China, they would have collapsed long ago.
Yeah, right. And that's I'm not giving any light to this. I'm not praising it for it. I'm just stating that's kind of the one good thing of why is his name slipping me? The socialist from like Russia. Why is his name slipping me? He actually lived as much Stalin. Yeah, if I remember correctly, he lived as much shit as the other people around him did.
Well, yeah, I mean, the conditions there got bad even for the upper class, or what you would consider to be the upper class in Soviet Russia.
Yeah.
He put on a good act.
He himself live in a palace, but he chose not to. But I could be wrong with that statement.
No, I'm pretty sure he lived in what at least he tried to have as luxury, but it's like, but that was the thing. Like communism had made things so bad there that everyone was living in shit, and even what you would consider to be the upper class. So,
no, from what I understand, what made Stalin's life so crappy is the fact that he'd killed and stabbed people in the back so much in order to obtain his power. But he was smart enough to realize that this is the conundrum all dictators face. When you are a tyrant, when you're constantly killing people to maintain your power, even the people closest to you, you have to start worrying, are they going to do the same to you? Yeah. So I know Stalin, as he got older, he got increasingly more and more paranoid that people around him were going to betray him, that he was basically executing his inner circle left and right. And it was, say what you want about him being in control of the country and having access to resources other people didn't. He was miserable because there was literally no one he could trust anymore.
Well, that was the problem with Fidel Castro. That's what Castro did, too. I mean, that was what it was like for him.
I'm going to be back.
All right.
My battery's dying.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Plus, I forget, but the actual... I don't remember off the top of my head the actual number of, according to the Cuban Secret Service, the amount of times and the amount of attempts that were made on Castro's life throughout his lifetime is like insane.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I remember that. Even do you ever watch King of the Hill?
I have. It's not one of my favorite shows, but
King of the Hill. No, the father, apparently Hank Hill's father. Apparently, they actually made fun of all the times that everyone tried to kill Castro. Even Hank Hill's father tried to kill him with like a Cuban cigar and a poison dart or something like that.
Okay, here I'm actually going to Google that quick.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Oh my god, that show was actually pretty good. I wish they hadn't taken it off the air. Oh jeez. Oh, and I know this is a little off topic, but I kind of wanted to mention this just because of what we were talking about with like Legends of Tomorrow or whatnot. But I was actually asked once if you could. I was given a choice. If you could run a country or if you could run the world, which one would you choose? And I kind of met the agreement with a question. I was like, okay, let's say I chose to run the world. Could I immediately denounce my leadership and dissolve the main government of the world and all the other governments could I basically abolish all the governments of the world, including my own? And they were like, they actually got really pissed off at me, but it was like, that was basically my terms and conditions, that if I chose the world, it would simply be to dissolve the entire government of the world and all of the different little governments completely. So yeah.
Okay.
That's the only way I'd ever do something like that.
I can't find an exact number off the top of the Google search, but according to what I'm seeing here, according to declassified documents from the CIA, the CIA on at least 5 separate occasions tried to kill Fidel Castro. Based on their documents, the mafia was also in particular the five families of New York, the real famous mafia, themselves sponsored a number of attempts to kill Castro, specifically because Castro kicked the mafia out of Havana.
Without prohibitions, these mafia things wouldn't be a problem, but I guess that's just an ANCAP fever dream.
Okay. All right, and according to the Cuban government, at least 2,008 they are aware of at least 2,800 separate attempts to kill Castro.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow, everyone wanted that sumbitch dead.
Yeah, he survived a lot.
Can't say as I blame him though.
And hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi.
All right, there are a number of comments on the in the chats. I'm not going to repeat, lest this stream get demonetized.
Oh, fun.
That's yeah, it's kind of the beauty with the live stream. They can text whatever the heck they want.
Yeah, right.
All right, I guess we are coming up on an hour now, so
Yeah.
That was fun.
No, this was a fun stream, even though
yes,
I
it
was
was
for most of it.
Absolutely. And as I said, these things can be serious. These things can be totally not serious. It's just time for anybody who supports the channel to come and hang out. So for those watching, I have the links to Subscribestar, Bitbacker, and Patreon in the actual video description right now. If you are interested in participating in these in the future or getting any of the other rewards I offer for supporting my channel, please check out those links. I would really appreciate it. And thank you to all you guys for supporting my channel. You guys have been loyal supporters for a long time, and I love you so much for it.
Absolutely, brother.
All right.
I'm glad to help.
And Patrick Rooney says PewDiePie did a Roblox stream.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I don't.
What?
I do not understand that one either. I'm going to be perfectly honest. Despite the fact that he's probably the biggest YouTuber ever, I have not watched any PewDiePie comment in a very long time.
Yeah,
I've never Roblox. I don't like it.
It's the weirdest thing. I've never liked PewDiePie. Of course, I've never liked Onision. I've always been on here more for the female streamers like Lindsay Sterling, Amy Marie, Gardner, sorry, and Rosanna Pansino. Oh, my brain still works. I swear. Yeah, they're all as you can tell, they're all female streamers. And yeah, you get where I'm going with that.
You know, I always said I'll end the stream with this. I've tweeted this out before, and it got a lot of content. But I've always said I believe you can probably tell a lot about a person based on what they're into, based on if you look at the suggested videos that come up the first time they log into YouTube. And now, if you look at whenever I log into YouTube, there are essentially 4 kinds of videos you'll see. You'll see my fellow libertarian ANCAP channels. You'll see the videos that come up, the like anarcho-communist, socialist left-wing channels that I make response videos to. They come mixed in specifically because I'm looking at those channels to find content to debunk. Then you've got other like new, not necessarily libertarian or ANCAP, but just news-based commentary channels that I do follow. You've got bikini lingerie model channels, and then you've got Pokemon channels, and that's everything that's in my suggested videos.
That's a great lineup, I've got to admit.
Yeah, mine is just full of just nerdy stuff. I should not say.
Mine is probably 50% libertarian and anti-government videos, and 50% or at least 25% synthwave videos, and another 25% just girls that I like online.
Mine's probably just 90% nerdy stuff, and then probably about 10% girls, and that's probably about it. Yeah. I don't really watch really libertarian stuff anymore. Mostly just I like you guys, and the reason why I follow 2 Cents is because he always brings something to the table that I really like. But the only reason I don't watch anyone else's really, unless I'm like watching you because I like you as a person, just because of the fact that it's not that I don't need to be educated anymore. I just, a lot of the stuff I already kind of know, so I don't need to watch someone else tell me about it. So I don't really watch as much libertarian stuff anymore. But
Right.
Yeah. Imagine mine. Mine seems to be mostly filled up with theories, anime stuff, gaming stuff, and My Little Pony.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, that's in there.
And nothing wrong with that. Like I said, my obsession, for those of you who know me, my obsession is Pokemon. Scorch, if yours is My Little Pony, then yeah, good on you for that.
More power to you, brother.
All right. Well, I guess, and with that, this has been a fun hangout. So again, thank you so much, everybody, for supporting my channel. And as always, that is my 2 cents. So take it for what it's worth.